Sometimes the quietest endings make the loudest noise, and we're about to hear one of them. I'm still trying to decide whether the word settled feels like closure or just a softer way of saying we're done talking about it. Probably both. Because when news dropped yesterday that Shannon Sharpe and the woman who accused him of rape and battery have reached an agreement, every headline used the same verb, settled. Like it could smooth over the details we do know and the ones we probably never will. So let's walk through what's on the record, what's wrapped in legalese, and what still hangs in the air. First, the facts that aren't in dispute. In April, a civil suit filed in Clark County, Nevada, accused Sharp of multiple instances of sexual assault, battery, and secretly recording intimate encounters. The plaintiff, listed as Jane Doe, was 20 when they met at an LA gym in 2023. Sharp was in his mid-50s. The suit asked for $50 million. Yesterday, her attorney, Tony Busby, confirmed the case is resolved, and Sharp's camp hasn't contradicted that. The dollar figure? Confidential. The apologies? Non-existent in the public filings. Now, the framing. When the suit hit, Sharp called it a blatant setup and a shakedown, then stepped away from ESPN by mutual agreement until, conveniently, football ramps back up. Disney's statement was careful. This is a serious situation, and nothing more. No suspension, no investigation, just an indefinite pause that could have been a summer vacation anyway. So here's where I start tugging at the seams. We're told both sides acknowledge a long-term, consensual, and tumultuous relationship. That line shows up in the joint statement like it's meant to dilute the allegations, as if ongoing consent can't be withdrawn, or as if a tumultuous label somehow inoculates against violence. It's the kind of rhetorical cushion defense teams love. Imply shared chaos, suggest mutual fault, hope the public shrugs and says, well, relationships are messy. Except the complaint describes two separate rapes, October 2024 and January 2025, plus repeated non-consensual recordings. Those aren't gray area spats. Recording someone without their knowledge isn't a lover's quarrel. It's a felony in plenty of jurisdictions. And yet none of the coverage I've seen presses on why the DA never filed criminal charges. Could be lack of evidence, could be the accuser's preference. Civil court lets her control the narrative more than prosecutors would. We don't know. What we do know is that Sharp's camp floated at least $10 million to make it go away before the suit was even filed, according to his own lawyer. $10 million isn't nuisance money. It's the kind of offer that makes you wonder what the defense thought a jury might see. I keep circling back to that age gap, 30 plus years, because power imbalance isn't just physical. When you're 20, newly out of your teens, and the other person is a Hall of Famer with millions of followers and a daily platform, consent can get blurry under stadium lights. That doesn't mean the younger party can't choose. It means the older one has a greater duty to be sure the choice is free and enthusiastic every single time. That's not woke moralizing. It's basic ethics, supported by every major health organization, including the WHO's guidelines on sexual violence prevention. So, did a settlement buy justice or merely silence? Legally, they're the same thing once the check clears. Morally, I'm less convinced. Confidentiality clauses mean the public will never hear the recordings, see the texts, or know the exact dollar figure. We'll get Sharp back on First Take debating nickel packages, and unless the details leak, the story folds into the background noise of sports media, another comeback tale. But there's a quieter cost. Every sealed settlement chips away at the idea that accountability is public. When high-profile cases vanish behind NDAs, future victims weigh their options and wonder, why speak up if the ending is a shrug and a wire transfer? That's the real ripple effect. Less about Sharp himself, and more about the signal the league, the network, and the culture send collectively. Still, I won't pretend to know what the accuser feels today. A settlement can also be survival. end the litigation, pay therapy bills, move on without reliving trauma in depositions. Sometimes the courtroom isn't a crucible of truth. It's just a room you want to escape with something left intact. What I do know is that the language we use afterward matters. When headlines say, Sharpe settles, the passive voice erases the woman who filed, the attorneys who negotiated, and the system that allowed 8-figure hush money to feel routine. If we're going to keep score, we should at least name the players. So, that's where I land tonight. Not with a verdict, civil or moral, but with a question. If the price of moving on is silence, who actually moves forward? And who just pays to stand still? If these kinds of reflections speak to you, if you like when they linger instead of tidy up, you can like, share, or just subscribe. I'll be here, turning the next quiet headline into a louder conversation.